Welcome to the Strategy Sherpa Show, a series of organic discussions between hosts David Chavez and a variety of notable business leaders centered around their most significant failures and how they handled those challenges, so listeners can learn from their most teachable moments and apply the lessons to their organizations. Now, here's your host, David Chavez.
Hey, everybody, this is David Chavez. This is the Strategy Sherpa Show, where we talk to business owners about things they've messed up. And Harlow is our guest today, Harlow Russell, and we'll get to him in just a minute. And Harlow, just to not scare you away, it's about things we mess up and we learn valuable lessons from them. And we're here to share your wisdom with everyone else who's trying to start a business and get it off the ground and trying to grow a business to the next level and struggling with some of the same problems some of the guests on this show have. And so we're giving them some insights of things to pay attention to and try to pay attention to as they're going along so they don't make the same mistakes that we've made, if you will. All right. So let's talk a little bit about our firm because we have some webinars coming up and some workshops coming up. Warren Sager and I are in San Diego, and on next Tuesday, I think we have 2 tickets left. And these have been the same 2 tickets for the last few weeks. So not sure if we're going to fill those 2 seats, but we have 2 left and we'd love to have you join us. If you want to just click on events at assuredstrategy.com, you could see it right there and then just click to register and it'll take you through the registration process. That's in San Diego on June 25th. So about a little more than a week away. And then we have on July 18th, we have Peak Performance Made Simple, and Warren Sager, one of our coaches, is going to be talking about performance coaching, what it is and how to use it, and then what value is it to you? So what are you using it for? And he's going to go through those details. And then on July 30th, Ted Servata and I are going to be going through financial forecasting and planning. What we see in a lot of our clients is we see a lot of budgets and a lot of stale decisions that are being made off of stale information, and we're trying to help people change that. And so we're going to be going through a little bit of financial forecasting model and how you should do forecasting. So if anything, it'll give you a little introduction to the start of forecasting. And then our colleague, Preston Law, will be also talking about forecasting and planning on August 8th. So you'll get a couple of really good cash webinars. They're almost back to back. So Harlow, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm super excited to have you here. Harlow and I met. Share with the audience how we met. It's sort of a fluky situation all the way around, but
yeah. Well, David and I just happened to be investors in a private investment, and there was a Zoom call with investors. And as we all know, with the Zoom calls, there's a million people, and you don't know. And so that went on, and it just so happened that I asked a question, and I said, I'm Harlow Russell from Austin, Texas. And lo and behold, David in the chat said, "Hi, I'm from Austin as well." And so that is how we met. And I think we met in person a couple of days later. It was so exciting. Like, you're another investor across the world, and you're just up the street.
Yeah. Yeah, so we both made this investment in this bank, and our investment is doing well, and so we think that we've made a very good decision there, and we got to talk a little bit, and I found what you were doing was fascinating. So why don't you share with the audience what you're doing? And I have some of the samples you gave me, so I'm going to show some of them as you're talking a little bit. So.
Sure. Well, you can see some of my creations behind me. So my company is called Awesome 3D Cards. And as you might expect, we create and manufacture custom 3D pop-up cards for companies and organizations. It's quite unique and specialized. And whereas some people have seen pop-up cards, they're generally for the consumer and rather generic. We specialize in total customality for a corporation, an organization, or even a solo entrepreneur like like myself, whenever you want to literally and figuratively stand out from the crowd, when you want to connect emotionally with your recipient and you want them to be delighted, impressed, and surprised, not only in that moment, David, but also for hours, for weeks, for even months after they receive the card. So I live in a very physical, tangible world of delight, impressions, and surprises for businesses to make a better impression and have better connections with their customers, their prospects, their donors, their employees, anyone who's important.
Okay, so Harlow, I just got a note that I was showing the cards while you were speaking, and the silent people in the background, AKA known as my executive assistant, is sharing with me that no one can see me while I'm showing them. So I've been doing all this fine holding up, and no one's seeing anything. So this is a card that you made for Vistage, which you and I are both members of Vistage. We sit inside of
Yes.
a Vistage group, and and Vistage uses a mountain climbing theme for itself, and you created this card for them. And so think about this from the standpoint of a business. I'm sending this out to somebody and just telling them thank you, or writing a note to them, and I have a really unique inside the card. I would have guessed that people never really throw these away. Is that fair?
That's correct. So there's really two parts of what I do, or actually what the card does. One is on opening, there's an impact. They are awesome. People go, wow. It puts a smile on everyone's face, just like you. And that's an instant connection, which is so valuable in today's digitally noisy environment. You know, this is not an email. This is not a social media TikTok or post. This is something that somebody's going to get in their hands. That's part one. Part two is then just the joy of sharing this with friends, family, and colleagues, whether it's at home or the office. And typically, our clients say that our cards are shown, are used, are displayed for weeks and months after they're received. And that's really the value and the ROI of having something that is physical and tangible in our digital world.
Yeah, it's funny because when we sat down and we were talking, you started showing me this one of the bats in Austin, and you asked me if I went down and seen the bats yet, and I had not, and I still have not, but I've been traveling a lot. But this is a great example of what Harlow does, and it's sort of interesting, Harlow. On my last flight in, I was sitting next to somebody, and they had never been to Austin. And you want to know the first thing they talked to me about?
The bats.
The bats. Yeah. So if you don't know this, every evening, right around dusk, right? The bats all come out and out from underneath the bridge that they live in Austin, and they fly out and they catch insects, and they're basically feeding. And this is quite an event that people come from all over the world to see, because it's a unique thing in an urban environment.
It is. It's the largest urban colony of bats in the world. There's about 2 million bats that live under this bridge in downtown Austin. And what folks may not be able to see, because it's you have to have one in your hands, but this is laser cut paper, and there's actually 50 people that are laser cut on that bridge that opens up, looking at the bats, representing the crowds that look at the bats. And in fact, this was one of the 2 concept cards that I created 6 years ago to start the business. It's very, very detailed, and it's an important iconic symbol for the city of Austin. And so I hope anyone who's planning to come to Austin, you got to see the bats. You got to take it off your bucket list.
Yeah, and then here's another one for Austin, the live musical capital of the world. And I share with people, I watch the Fox affiliate news in the morning, that the last part of the news every morning, they actually have a band on for the last 10 minutes playing music. And
Yeah.
I was like, it's the most unique thing. I've been in all around the world traveling and watched the news in many locations, and never have I seen the last 10 minutes devoted to a band to come in and play some of their music. And this is every day this happens.
Yes.
So
Well, we probably the only airport in the world that has live music playing when you arrive, when you go. We have live musicians at the airport. It's very important to our city's culture. And that
yeah,
particular card is one of my personal favorites. It is modeled after the guitar of Stevie Ray Vaughan.
yeah, there he is.
There he is.
There
There's
he
a
is.
statue, and that's the statue in
Yeah.
tribute to Stevie Ray. And just I was lucky to see him in back in the day, and so that's his guitar. And of course, everything
Yeah,
pops up and folds.
I have to talk when I'm showing this. This is his guitar, but this is the cover right here, just to make sure everybody can see it. And this is a really unique card. And I being a Stevie Ray Vaughan fan, when I first saw this, I was like, oh, this is amazing. But I did not guess this is Stevie Ray Vaughan. I missed that one. So
Well, you need. He always wore the leather
Yep.
coats and the of course fedora, which actually I wear as well. And those are laser cut. They're not printed, which is something that we do uniquely. You can't get laser cut cards at your corner print shop. So we love doing unique, innovative, and creative tools for companies and business people to communicate. Basically, we're in the communication business.
Yeah. Yeah. And most definitely, I think that these are very fine gifts for somebody to basically say thank you to somebody. And one of the things we do in scaling up, which is the primary foundational method that we use to help with our clients, in scaling up, one of the things Vern recommends is that you send cards to people pretty often. And one of the things that I like to try to do, and I don't know how good I've been doing it over the last year, but I probably need to get a little bit better again. But sending cards home and just saying thank you to some of the people that work with you, because a lot of times they go the extra mile and we don't say thank you the right way, or we don't even recognize their effort. And so the cards have a lot of value when you're sending them home and things like that. So I love it. I appreciate you sharing a little bit about your business. Now, why don't you tell us a little bit about you real quick, because we have a few minutes before the break. So you're Harlow Russell, and tell us how you ended up doing awesome 3D cards.
Yeah. Well, I'm originally from Philadelphia, and I was very lucky to come to Austin in the early 80s for my first job out of college. And then I continued going west to California, and then I continued going west until it became east. I lived most of my adult life, Dave, in Southeast Asia, in Indonesia, Singapore, Thailand, and then Vietnam. And so this art form is a Vietnamese art form called kirigami. So everyone's heard of origami, where a little paper's folded and it's a cute little swan and it sits. Well, that's origami. There's no movement. The Vietnamese version, kirigami, always has movement inside a card. That's kind of makes the mechanics work.
So like as we're going like this, the bridge
Absolutely.
comes out.
That's the uniqueness of folding paper that actually folds up into something that you recognize, and reliably closes, maybe hundreds of times. So it has to be reliable. And I was very familiar with kirigami from living there, which is typically cards for tourists and really kind of not a big deal in Vietnam. And then I came to the United States. I had a very poor customer service experience. And I thought, if they had sent me a kirigami pop-up card, and that's when it came to me, I would have been delighted, impressed, and surprised. And that's how I started Awesome 3D Cards in Austin, Texas.
All right, that's very cool. So it's a great story, and I appreciate you sharing it with us. And we're going to take a little bit of a break, and then we're going to come back and talk about your business a little bit and some of the mechanics of your business and how you've been running it and everything. So we're going to take a break, and this is the Strategy Sherpa Show. This is David Chavez. We'll be right back after these messages.
Welcome back to the Strategy Sherpa Show with David Chavez. Have a question for David or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show.
Hey, everyone. This is David Chavez. This is the Strategy Sherpa Show, and we have Harlow Russell with us today, and he's talking to us about awesome 3D cards. Now, Harlow, one of the things we love to do at the Strategy Sherpa Show is that we like to talk about things that we've messed up in our company. And I talk about them as failures, but it's sort of there's a little bit of irony in calling them failures, because from these lessons, we gain valuable insights that we didn't have before. And so what we're doing is taking these mistakes, if you will, or errors that we made, and we're trying to help people understand the error and then how we used it to help us, but also what we didn't see at the time that we made the error, that with the way that we were thinking, things like that. So why don't you share, you have a really good one, I think, that's applicable to a lot of small business owners that are trying to grow. So why don't you share with what happened to you?
Sure. So thanks, David. So first off, for the audience, my Awesome 3D Cards is a product. It's tangible, it's real. You can touch it, you can feel it in your hands, and you can show it to others. So it can be challenging in my business, my unique business, to have my prospects conceptualize what can be created with a custom 3D pop-up card. So most business people have never seen anything like what I do or have even thought about using such. So I have a sense of urgency always to educate, inform, and communicate up front. And of course, that takes time, and time is money. The cards are created out of paper. It is a process. And like building a custom car or custom kitchen, it takes time. You have to explain that. And your prospect has to be willing to provide that time to create a truly innovative custom 3D pop-up card. So I sell custom, lower volumes, high quality, wholesale. So I don't, at least yet, sell mass market, generic consumer cards that you go to your grocery store and buy. I'm very specialized. So therefore, brand awareness is, my brand awareness, even after 6 years, is still relatively small. And it's hard for me to have a very long sales cycle of 6, 9, 12 months when my wholesale product, even customized, is $2 to $8. I just can't afford it. So there's a sales cycle that needs to happen every day, every week. There's a sense of urgency in my business to make sales every day and every week. And I am a salesperson by nature. I'm an extrovert. I love sales. I love marketing, love being creative. I'm not a finance person. I look at spreadsheets and I get nervous. And that's really where, looking back most recently, the biggest mistake that I've made is not paying attention to the numbers and just being gung-ho to focus on sales, 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 sales.
Okay, so you're focusing on sales, you're not paying attention to the numbers. What happened?
So basically, in early 2023, I was seeing some encouraging growth in terms of new customers and sales and some exciting things, but it wasn't enough to scale. I'm self-funded, and I've been at this then 5 years, and I need my breakthrough gross sales. So I continue to invest my own money and continue to borrow money with high interest rates to pay for more third-party services that would promote my company, increase branding, which is vital for me to scale. All this additional investment was basically to produce results quickly within, quickly for me is 30 to 90 days. That's a long time, 1 quarter, and convert into paid orders. So it's not just doing it for fun or for great things. I need all of this to convert to transactional sales fairly quickly. And David, I spent, borrowed, etc., a chunk, about maybe $125,000 in the first 6, 7 months. And for me,
is that a 2023?
yeah, that's just
Okay.
last year.
Okay.
And basically, that was a big mistake. I was just bleeding in the hopes of scaling before some things happened, and I shut the faucet off and stopped, basically full dead stop, because I was just spending and like parents tell their kids, don't spend too much on credit cards. Well, there I was at 61, just borrowing money left and right to pay for third parties that would help me supposedly scale and then convert to sales. And it didn't happen.
Okay. So what you did, and I'm just going to summarize this in a little easier way for people to understand, is in 2020, things started going well for you. And you started to get some attention to the cards and started to make some sales. And so that spurred you to have some 2023 goals around increasing your sales.
Yes. So 2022 was good. It was encouraging. Therefore, my brain, my soul entrepreneurial business sales brain said, okay, let's spend some more money to make some more money.
Let's go get them.
Absolutely. Why not?
Right? Yeah, no, it's a common mistake that's made. So you're getting that traction, and then in 2023 you say, "Hey, I'm going to throw all my cards in here. I'm going to go borrow some of the money that I can get, and
Yes.
and I'll borrow that money because I know I can get it back, even though I'm not paying attention to any financial results. I tell myself that if I borrow this money, it'll generate the revenue I need to pay it back. So it's not a big deal about borrowing the money."
100% correct. I got ahead of myself. I was lucky I had good credit, so I could borrow. And of course, the banks, credit card companies, third parties love to give you money. And you get caught. You get caught in this machine. And for me, I'm a fairly trusting person. So if I hear a good pitch, I'm a sales guy. I think, okay, that sounds good. Let's do it and get started. Not being satisfied with a slow, small growth, and kind of being not paying attention to financials because somebody else will do that. And it all work out, being the ultimate optimist. Well, it all work out. And, if I do 10 things, one of them's going to have to pop. So if I borrow from 5 different banks and credit cards to work with, 4 different third parties, marketing parties, well, one of them's gotta pay off,
Right.
So why not? So just get it done and do it and plow into it. That's what I did.
Yeah. Yeah. So I can tell you, when you and I sat down and we were having a beer and we are talking about this, right? I just started laughing, and you're like, "Why are you laughing? This isn't funny." We're sort of joking around a little bit together, and I go, "Hey, Harlow, I've made this mistake." So like, this is such a common mistake that a lot of business owners make in like the second or third, fourth, fifth year of business, just depending on where they're at. I would tell you, the first 5 years of as a company that starts to scale, and that's making over about $1 million, they're really starting to scale. This is a common problem. And it would have been great at the time. I even shared this with you. I was a CPA. And it would have been great. Yeah, come to me for your CPA work. I've been bankrupt. It would have been great, right? So at least I had the financial acumen to work myself back out, but it probably slowed me down for a couple of years, right? Because you make these mistakes and you don't really realize the larger impact it's having on your company. These interest costs start to eat away at your profit, and they eat away at it so much that a lot of times business owners don't even realize the impact that it's actually having on the company on a whole. So how did you start to discover you were in a little bit of trouble? What are the first signs you started to see?
Well, this is fairly recent. So by September last year, I would say I was a mental mess and a financial dumpster fire. I was
What were the
borrowing.
signs you were seeing before September, though? Were you seeing anything that was going on that was starting to make you nervous?
I was seeing some growth, but also exactly as you said, my sales were growing. So more money was coming into the account. But, the interest and the fees, retainer fees, and all of the other expenses were just also growing. So that literally my net every month was negative. My net loss was growing. And I just, on a month to month basis, just had in my head, it's okay. Yeah, we're just a month or two
It'll
around.
catch up. Your
It'll catch up.
rationalism.
I'm just around the corner, and if I stop now, it won't work. So I gotta do this. I gotta keep paying these companies for their support, and it'll all work out. And I put my head in the sand. I just didn't want to look at my bank statements. I just was like, it'll all work out, and somehow, yeah,
Yeah.
like that.
And I love how you said like it's just around the corner.
Yes.
It's so many people believe it's just around the corner, the profitability. But I also agree with something you said. I see this way too much in marketing where people are close to getting some result and they stop doing what they were doing because they literally run out of money, and they were probably a month or two from a breakthrough of some sort. But if you don't have budgets or forecast, or even better, and we're going to be doing that on July 30th, right? And talking about this, about if you would add forecasts to really look out and to see what your cash flow was going to be, you could have maybe ramped up that effort slower and really helped yourself start to prove like, hey, I'll spend more money when I get to X result. Right. And so I'm just trying to help people out there that think about this problem. And, I just was at a Dave Ramsey event not too long ago, and James Ramsey was talking about his headquarters being built. And I think he's in his 5th year of building out the headquarters because he does everything with cash, and he doesn't care that it's going to take him 5 to 6 years to build out his headquarters. He's doing it with cash, so he doesn't owe anybody anything, and then it's his, right? And is that the right way of doing it? Is that the fastest way? Probably not. Could he have done it faster and went out and got some debt? He probably could have, but if it would eat away at his profitability, and if it starts to eat away at his profitability, then those costs somebody else making that profit, not him. So I think that we have to think about these things very closely. I'm not a true no debt in a company, but I think we should have very clear objectives when we do get debt, and we should understand exactly what we're doing with the money, and our return on our investment should be much higher than the cost of that debt. So, hey, Harlow, we have a hard stop here. So this is a radio show. So we're going to take a break here, and then we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more and get into a little bit more of the details so you can share with people how you got out of this.
Great. Thank you.
Sherpa Show. This is David Chavez. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Strategy Sherpa Show with David Chavez. Have a question for David or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show.
Hey, this is David Chavez. This is the Strategy Sherpa Show, and I'm here with Harlow Russell from Awesome 3D Cards. And Harlow is sharing some of his wisdom with us because he gained a lot of wisdom over the last few years, and it's been humbled a little bit. Harlow, one of the things you didn't talk about at the very beginning when I introduced you, you ran some pretty big factories in your life. I mean, I think you are being a little humble there because these factories were not small you were running.
No, well, thank you for that. I started out in tech, working for big corporate tech giants in sales and marketing, and all of that was pretty standard corporate warrior stuff. But then I got the opportunity to at the ripe age of 30, become a general manager of a startup company in, of all places, Jakarta, Indonesia, in an industry I knew nothing about, environmentally friendly chemicals. And there I was suddenly there and had to build a small plant, engineering plant, and create product and sell it. So that was my start in Asia. And throughout my career, about 25 years in Asia, lots of things, chemicals, real estate, prop tech. Was involved in some of the beginnings of the property websites in Southeast Asia, and just a lot of things, telecommunications, and throw in a stint with the U.S. government and stir it all around. And that was me. So I have a very colorful background, but yes, manufacturing started me in Southeast Asia, and here we are today. So I look back with big smiles. Some of the startup companies that I helped create are still in business today, and that's what I'm most proud of.
Yeah, so let's go back to what we were talking about right before the break. It's September 2023. You're a mental mess, as you said,
Yes.
And you're living in a financial dumpster. I like it, with the dumpster fire going on, and
Yes.
And you're just stressed, and you've realized that you've spent a lot of money with not a lot of result, and one of the things I talk to business owners quite a bit about is I think that most of the marketing companies out there just aren't really that great. Probably about 20% of them are really, really good at what they do. Another 20% is okay. And then probably the other 60% just are not good at all. And I think that the mistake that they make, and look, I'm not a marketing person, so I have no ability to say exactly what the mistake is. But what I see the problem is a lot of times with my clients that hire some of these marketing people is those marketing people want to come in and tell them who their customer is when the business probably knows that better than the marketing person will ever know. And they start marketing to the person they think is the ideal client, as most people call it today, instead of the real core customer of the company.
Yes, I would agree with that. And for me, which is just literally 9 months ago, as you said, I was in a financial dumpster fire. My partners, hated me. People didn't want to talk to me. I was just a mess because of the financial strain. And the companies I were working with that I paid, retainers and such to market my brand and my product were generally extremely positive. And we're saying, it's just around the corner. Don't give up now, because I was really ready to give up and just say, okay, close this chapter and go on a beach somewhere. But they were very encouraging, and some of them, their opinions I respected quite a bit and still respect. And they're part of the kitchen cabinet. Come on, rah rah, let's go, let's go, let's go. And so I just kept going, but I didn't pay attention, honestly, to the books. And the books, the numbers are very clear. The numbers don't have emotion. And I was very lucky, honestly, that I'm part of Vistage. You're part of Vistage. It's a business mentoring group. And basically, I had a meeting where one person gets to spew and then everyone else contributes. And it's about a half day. So it's not just casual, superficial. And I was a mess. And people said, you need to go. We need to hear what's going on with you. And I spewed. And being good business people, they asked me some basic number questions: gross sales, expenses, what's your credit, what's happening. And I gave them the basic numbers, which is about as much as I could, because I'm not a financial guy. I don't want to deal with spreadsheets. And that was the problem. And when I put up on a whiteboard the basic numbers, in a group of 12 people, it was unanimous. They said, Harlow, stop now, today. This is crazy. And that was really almost like a, come to religion meeting. It was just like they totally broke me down and said, this makes no business sense. And there's 12 business people of various backgrounds, all unanimous. So, it was like, wow. And they
Yeah,
say, you need to stop today.
yeah, and these people, they don't have a vested interest in your company,
No.
but they're running businesses themselves, making some of these same stupid mistakes that
Yes.
all of us seem to make over time. They may have made this one already, seeing it clearly for you, and helping you trying to realize what's really going on. So share with me some of the things that so that we're lacking. One of the things I talk about all the time is to people is that the end result of marketing that I'm looking for when I'm spending marketing dollars, it is not likes on social media like a lot of marketing companies talk about. I could have a whole bunch of likes, I could have a whole bunch of friends, I could have a whole bunch of connections, whatever you want to call them. But in the end, what the real result number is how many leads am I really getting, right? And
Yes.
so you're not getting the leads that you really needed to get for the money you were spending. So you had to turn all these things off. What happened after you turned everything off and you started to get your sanity back? Because you're at this time, you're a little bit of emotional mess. You probably had to go through a little bit of a depression stage, like a little bit of grief and loss stage, right?
Yes.
Because you'd lost so much, and you come out of that. And what was your mindset when you came out of it?
Well, it is a process, it is a journey. And it was very hard. That day I remember distinctly, and I left almost in tears, because here I am, and I'm 61, and I'm being told, bad boy,
Yeah.
you've done a dumb thing.
Yep.
And so it was first accepting that,
Hmm.
and then okay. And I came home, and I looked at what are the largest monthly costs that I have, and it was mostly for third party services, and very difficult. But I started calling the companies and just saying, I'm sorry. I may have a contract with you. You may have expectations. It's the middle of the month. It doesn't matter. I need to stop. And so within about 30 days, I had cut my expenses, my monthly expenses, very hard, but I did it by about, I don't know, 60 to 65%. And as a result of that, and continuing to have sales, continuing doing what I did, October actually turned out, and I didn't know this till November when I had the P&L, but actually I had a very teeny tiny profit. And I was like, oh my God, I haven't had a profitable month. I've had one or two in 5 years, but
Yeah.
wow, look at that. And I continued that process and eventually cut more or less 95% or more of the expenses. I had to let people go. I just turned off contracts. I just stopped and just relied on what I was working on without all that. And that turned out October, November, December. Hey, guess what? I made a profit, small, but a profit, black, not red,
Better than losing money.
every month. And it was the first profitable quarter that I ever had in the company's
Yeah.
history. And so that was an eye opener. And so that's the journey, and that's the shedding of the dead skin, and kind of going, well, it's not exactly what I expected. I wanted to be at a high level by this time, but I'm actually the company's not costing me money out of my pocket for a change. And how does that feel? And it felt very good.
Right. So you get yourself out of this situation by turning everything off. And this is called a transformation strategy, when you really have to focus on shutting some cost off, but at the same time spending some money in a different way, right? So you
Yes.
sort of have to have this growth mindset, which I know you still have, because I spent time spent an evening together, and I learned quite a bit about you. And so you still have this growth mindset, but you cut back quite a bit. So I think you're doing the transformation strategy really well for your small company. You're cutting back cost, at the same time trying to decide, where am I going to spend money that's going to get me those leads that I really need, that's going to improve my sales and improve my bottom line a little bit. So I really love how you say that. So you had a profitable quarter at Q4 of 2023. How is 2024 looking so far?
So 2024 is looking pretty good. Again, I'm being very fiscally conservative. As you said, this has given me some pause and time to look at, all right, where should I turn the faucet back on a little bit? And I did that. So I have one part-timer I brought back on, and he's providing me with exactly what I need because he's a unique person and also not kind of part of a corporate cog. And looking at just one or two other type of monthly services that I had before, and just also being satisfied with, okay, if I have 5 or 6 new clients or a month, that's great. Work it, be satisfied, make sure they're happy, get reorders. And now, 9 months after my come to religion meeting, I can actually breathe and say, all right, what is the strategy going forward, which I have, as I've discussed with you, and look at some new things and not just rely on, okay, let me get 3 proposals from 3 digital marketing companies and see what they have. I've realized that a lot of that, as you said, it is not really lead generation. A lot of marketing companies, when you hold them to the fire and say, okay, I'll pay you this amount per month, but can you guarantee so many qualified leads? And they just can't do it. And I've just decided I've had enough of that.
Yeah, that's great. And I think there's a lot that's exactly what I share with people, and especially in smaller companies. Look, be careful of people who are promising you the moon. If they're willing to promise you the moon, have them put the moon up as collateral and you'll pay when the moon's delivered.
Yes.
So, so they got a little bit of skin in the game too. So that way it works both ways. Hey, Harlow, very informative discussion today, but we're out of time on this. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing your wisdom. And everyone, awesome3dcards.com is the place to find Harlow, and go and check out his product. And I'm sure he'd be happy to share some ideas with you of how you could build a card for your company, because Harlow, you and I will be building one for mine very soon, because I want to use these cards because I know the impact that they have when people open them. So,
well, David, thank you for having me. And if I can help other business people or companies or organizations, let's be creative. We do almost anything out of folding paper.
All right, Harlow Russell, thank you very much. This is Strategy Sherpa Show. This is David Chavez. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Strategy Sherpa Show with David Chavez. Have a question for David or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show.
Hello, everybody. This is David Chavez. This is the Strategy Sherpa Show. Welcome back. We just finished up with Harlow Russell with Awesome 3D cards. And look, these things are pretty amazing. If I know I showed a couple of them, but I have to show one more really quickly while I still have everybody here. This is the Willie Nelson one. And Willie is quite popular here in Austin, Texas. And as you can see, it's just, these are just really cool cards. You send a music lover or something like this, they just eat it up. So I love that Harlow's producing these cards and making a difference and really making your business stand out. So I really enjoyed listening to him talk about his issue, not because it was enjoyable to listen to his pain, but how he handled it. He thank goodness he was in a Vistage group, and he was able to go and talk to the other business owners. And one of the things when you're in these groups and you're with other business owners, there's no way for you to lie to them or them, because they're going to see right through everything, because they probably it's happened to them at some time or another. And of course, a lot of them seen this before, where a member gets themselves in trouble, overextending themselves with outsourcing. Outsourcing isn't bad, but sometimes outsourcing isn't the best solution for a company all the time. And so he spent quite a bit of money, and they helped him understand that he just needed to turn off the faucet. So he turned off the faucet. He started to get profitable again. Now he can fund the growth into the future and not stress himself out. I was really interested in what he said after he had made the discovery, talked to the Vistage group. He had to come to the realization himself. And through that part, my guess is he went through the grieving process just like we would grieve any type of loss. Harlow is grieving a loss of the cash that he had, but a little bit of loss of ego too, because what this does to you is it really hurts your ego quite a bit. One of the things you have to really grow a business or to be a leader in a business is you have to have an ego, but we also have to keep our egos in check. He wasn't keeping his ego in check, and he thought it would just be something he could do really easily. And now he had to go back and keep his ego in check. And there's a little bit of grief and loss in that. And so he had to go through that grief and loss process to get to the other side. And he came out with a very positive mindset. And his mindset was to turn this company around and make it profitable, which he sounds like he's doing right now. And it's probably helped him a lot in many different places inside of his business. But just like Harlow's business, all businesses really need to know how much they're worth. And paying attention to how much your business is worth over time is very important, because when you talk to business owners, and I was a CPA for a long time, I helped people with doing transactions, buying and selling companies. I've done over 100 deals in my life, probably close to 150, and helping people with exit plans, financial planning, retiring, all these different things that we had helped people with. It was always amazing to me how many business owners tell me their exit strategy is to exit their business by selling it by some multiple they heard out in the market. Well, the multiple in the market is what we call a rule of thumb valuation. So they take all the valuation, all the business transactions that were done over a short period of time. It could be a year or so. And they say, in this segment of the business, like if I was a tech company or something like that, in your line of business, businesses are being sold for roughly 10 to 15 times EBITDA. Well, if your EBITDA is 5 million, then if it's 10 to 15 times, then you're looking at anywhere from 50 to 75 million dollars that your company is worth. Well, in the rule of thumb, I would tell you that that's the average. That's the really bad companies and the really good companies. So if the average is a 10 multiple and you're at 5 million, that's 50 million. Well, if you're an average company, that would be your multiple. But if you had done planning, you kept track of where your valuation was, you knew what you were trying to go for, you may be able to sell your company for 100 million, especially if you strategically position it correctly. Well, a lot of people don't understand this, and it's because they've never really seen a business valuation until the time that they're being sold. And usually the valuation is never what they anticipated it would be at this point in time. So one of the resources that we offer on our website is to actually get a free business valuation. And if you go to our website, and I'll share this with you so you can actually see how I'm navigating through this. Let me share my screen with you real quick. This is screen 2. Okay. And so I'm on my website, assuredstrategy.com. I go to resources and I go to free offers, and we have several free offers we offer people. And this is get your free free valuation. This is the disc. This is coaching session. we come to you at one of your first meetings, and we also do free gap assessments to see where your processes are at. But you get your free evaluation here and you click on it and it takes you to a page. And we work with Biz Equity to get you a rough valuation. And all you have to do is enter your name, your industry, your zip code, and your revenue and income. This will produce a rough valuation that will come up right on the screen for you. So you don't see it. So somebody's telling me that they don't see my screen. I'm not sure why that is. But I think I walked you through it well enough that you should be able to see it. But you just enter your name, the industry, your zip code, and your revenue and income, and we can give you a rough valuation on your business, and so you can see it and you understand where you're at. And what you want to do is you want to monitor this over time, because like I said, 80% of the businesses out there say they're going to sell, but they never really sell. And the reason they don't sell is because they weren't paying attention to the value, and the business really has no value because the business owner is the business. And if you start looking at evaluation, you'll be able to start seeing some of these things, which will really make you pay attention to the real levers you need to be pulling to move the value up if that's your objective. And remember, valuation is a result of doing something well. Profit is a result of doing something well. Find the right customers, deliver what you deliver to those customers, and your profitability will be there. So that's the lesson of today. And I think Harlow really helped us have this conversation in a little bit of a different way. And I really appreciate him coming on. I look forward to meeting him out in the community. He's already introduced to me to several people in the community, which I find that he's going to be one of my friends here soon. And we're going to be doing business together for a long time. But one of the things I will help him make sure is he doesn't get himself back into this situation, because this is one of these situations we can get ourselves back into as we start to have more success. And so, like I was talking about marketing companies a little earlier, there's a lot of great marketing companies out there too that really understand that they have to work with their clients to figure out the core customer, so they market to the right customer. If there's a marketing company out there that's not talking to you, not getting your input around these things, be careful. All right. This is David Chavez. This is Strategy Sherpa Show. I hope we provided some valuable information to you today. And thank you for coming. And again, Harlow, thank you for visiting us. And we'll look forward to seeing you out in the community. Take care, everybody.